This is not going to be your average I Do Cars teardown video. There's no spark plugs to pull. There's not even a combustion palace to have malice in. Instead, we're going to tear down this, which is the rear drive power unit out of a 2023 Audi E-Tron. Yes, that's right, an electric vehicle made by the Volkswagen Automotive Group. It's also in the ID.4, which I think is the same chassis of vehicle, and it is bad. And if you had checked my community post from last week, I got a whole truck bed full of Audi stuff, and this was one of the things you could not see in that picture. It's not something I planned on getting, but when it did grace my hands, it went to the front of the line because I want to see what's inside of it, don't you? Rear drive unit failure on the Volkswagen ID.4, the Audi E-Tron, and the E-Tron GT is actually rather prevalent. If you Google that type of failure, there are a lot of people talking about them, which is strange because I hardly see any of these vehicles around St. Louis, but that could just be the area that I live in. Now, they all say the same thing, including the place I got this from. They all fail the same way. There's a wear seal in this unit that keeps coolant in the area that's supposed to have coolant out of the area that's not supposed to have coolant. And there's actually a canister that's supposed to be changed every 20,000 miles by the dealer that collects droplets of coolant from the area that's not supposed to have it. Now, when this wear seal begins to seep or leak, or it fails altogether, that canister is usually overflowing. And this is usually accompanied by a bunch of fault codes and warning lights, and it requires a tow into the dealership to replace the drive unit, which is exactly how I got this unit here. So I don't know if we're going to see a whole bunch of carnage. I know that might be a letdown for some of you, but if you just wait a week, just 1 week, maybe even less, there will be carnage on this channel. A little quip about working on EVs, hybrids, or high voltage electric vehicle components. If you've never worked on these before, if you don't know how these systems work, if you've never seen any videos on them, or if you're not sure if they've been discharged properly and you're generally accident prone, you should just don't do it. Just don't touch this stuff. Nobody's making you work on this stuff. I'm not telling you that by touching the outside of the drive unit you're going to get shocked, because that's not the case. This stuff isn't going to shock everything that walks near it, but the wrong part of some of these components will definitely let your smoke out, and you don't want that to happen. You can't put the smoke back in. And in this case, I know that this has been discharged properly because that's part of the procedure for replacing this, so I'm not concerned about this. But that doesn't mean you should go to your local U-Pull It and start poking around, because I'm not so sure those places do that. They're supposed to pull batteries, but they don't usually pull inverters, which still hold a lot of charge and can still hurt you. The first thing we're going to do is remove this cover plate. Now, working on EV components requires use of special tools. I got to get the right thing. Let's get this cover zipped off. Oh, that feels like it's sealed. Blue. And there are the big cables that sends all the power from the inverter to the motor. And it looks like there's 3 T30s to unbolt, and then there's one electrical connector right here, which might be easier to do once we lift the inverter up. Let's get those zipped loose. Always got to check by shocking yourself. I am not planning on dismantling the inverter because this is a very well sealed unit. But if coolant comes out of the wrong part when we tip it over, I may peel it apart. But let's get it removed from the drive unit. These are just 4 bolts. Let's see what happens. See what blue can do for us. This side seems to be a little stuck. All right, so we need to get this cracked loose of this too. There we are. Perfect. So now this will just lift straight off the top. This will just lift straight off the There's still an electrical connector, but I think there's more slack than that. Or is it taut? Oh no, it's taut. I need to get that loose right now. There's a little bitty locking tab. Perfect. Now it should lift straight off the top. For real this time. Still got some coolant in it. I hear it leaking, or maybe it's not. No, it's not leaking. And here is the drive motor itself with the inverter removed. It's really compact. This whole unit collectively is probably about 60, 65 pounds. It's not heavy at all. It's much lighter than the Nissan Leaf. I'm going to go set the inverter aside. I don't think we're going to be dismantling this unit right here, but we are going to remove the side plate. That's the next step. Let's go ahead and pull the axle plug. All right, let's see if these crack loose or not. No. Well, that's boring. I'm just going to zip these out with my little impact. I thought those were going to be really tight, but they are not. I think my socket is bent a little bit from taking head bolts out, probably. All right, even though it's going to probably make a giant mess, or maybe not, I'm actually going to turn this thing on its end and take it apart with it in the air, like this. Is it leaking? No? Okay then. Well, that makes my life a little bit easier. And this is where all the differential and stuff is. All right, I think that's it. I think we should be able to just pop this cover off. I'm going to use glue here. Oh, what kind of glue they got on this thing, huh? Well, that's an interesting tag that I just noticed. Let me show you what that says. I was just showing you the part number, and there's nothing else about this tag that's kind of funny to anybody, right? All right, we're just going to give it some taps, because this thing is glued really well. Ooh, that sounds like success, doesn't it? Well, it's starting to pop up a little bit. Is there a place to pry on this side? Not easily. I feel like they don't want you getting inside of these. I also feel like I don't care. There we are. Can't keep me out. Well, there is the differential. That's pretty cool. I bet there's going to be some neat pieces that come out of this. Let's go ahead and spin that diff again. There's still plenty of icky fluid in here, and I'm just saying that because it does not smell good. I don't know what's going to be required to get the diff itself out. It feels like it's not going to come out easily. It also looks like I could unbolt these triple squares, pull the diff off the ring gear, which might be the move. I prefer to just pry on things until something pops or snaps. It's not what we're going to do here. What I am going to do is get some pig mat and lay this thing over and start working on the other side because I don't want to break anything on this before I throw it in the scrap bin. So here's a close-up look. Here's your open differential. That's where you want to weld it, like right here. I'm just kidding. I mean, it is the rear. This all looks really simple, but I mean, did we expect otherwise? Let's get into that other side. Okay, we're going to try to do this without making me change my clothes here. That's not water. That's whatever super stink fluid is inside this thing. And man, does it smell. Oh, look at that. The diff is going to come out. Just like that. Let's see if we can slide this all the way out. Look at that. The diff is out. There's a shim. Sits right there on that bearing. Looks pretty robust. I don't see any weird stuff. I don't think that comes off until this plate comes out. But we're still going to go to the other side. I'm going to get some more pig mat because that fluid is just sitting right on top of it. We're going to continuing on this side because once the diff came out, it gave me access to these 3 bolts, and I don't know what happens when they come out. So let's find out together. Also, there's that. And then I think that just falls right out. And I would be a Tibetan man if this just, no, it doesn't. I thought it might, but it does not actually just come right out. Okay. This has a lot of weight to it. It's like a flywheel. Now there is, I wonder if I can get this off. You know what? We're here. Let's try it. I have some transmission pliers that are probably perfect for this. Well, maybe perfect is a strong word. Will they work? We're going to find out. All right, let's do something else. Just the more of the same. We're going to do the same exact thing we did before with just more tools or bigger screwdrivers. One of the 3. Let's go back to using this side. Look at that. That's not dangerous at all. I also should note that the fluid that's in this smells really, 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 really bad. And I know you can't really guess how that is over your phone or your TV or your computer, but I can tell you that I don't like the way it smells. Just imagine something that you don't like to smell, and it's worse than that by a little bit. Yeah. Can that help us? Probably not at all. Not even in the slightest. I can't do a single thing. Okay, well that was an exercise in futility. Let's go to the other side. Ah, it's leaking so bad. Got to get this out of my nostrils. Oh, there's the purple coolant coming out. Ah. Let's go ahead and get this outer cover off. It's T30s. And they really don't leave you a place to pry, so we're just going to have to beat it off. That sounds really not what I wanted. I don't know what you're supposed to do to get this off. You could have left you with like a little tab like right here, like that. Yeah, they did leave you with that. Is there one on this side? Kind of. Yes. Use the old hand hammer. Whoa, of all the things, I did not expect that. There's the shaft. Wow, okay. This fluid is really murky looking. I don't know if that's normal or not. It could be from the coolant intrusion. And that's the motor shaft right there. I don't know that we're going to be able to get that out, but we're going to try. I'm going to drain a little bit more. There we are. We're going to get it all out. So in order to get all of the bolts that hold this outer case on removed, they are behind this black plastic housing for the power cables to the motor. So we got a couple Torx to take out. Hopefully we can slide that piece out so we have access to those triple squares back there. I think there's just two. Right? Come on. Clearly this is designed to be serviced. Sarcastic. That worked out really well. Now we have, let's do a little bit more prep here. Don't really know what this is supposed to do when I take this apart. So we'll cross that bridge later. Start zipping bolts out. Oh, that went in a bad place. Let's see if I can fish that thing out. Got it. Now this is some sort of pickup sensor or Hall effect sensor. And I think that may be for monitoring motor speed. Not sure, but either way, let's go ahead and start giving it some taparoos. Blue's just tearing it up. There we are. Okay, is this going to be some sort of reveal? Let's see. Maybe I can't get this apart because of magnets and stuff. We have the tools here. It's like running into a stop. I wonder if it's the other side. Let's try harder. Didn't like that. Let's go ahead and no, that's still not gonna. Let's get this unbolted just in case there's something hiding behind it. We're going to leave no stones unleaved here. Did that do anything for us? I have my doubts. Now there's a harness that is not going to help us. It's a big old nope. Well, this is not the end of the video, I promise, guys. We are not done. I won't sleep until this part is all the way out, but I think, oh man, might have to go to the other side and do some witchcraft. I'm not sure. I guess we'll try things. Yeah, let's try the other side again. So as I pry on it, you can see that it starts to pull that gear in, which it could be something to do with this. This thing might need to come out, but I don't know how that comes out. There's probably like a special tool that no one owns. Let's get a second pry bar. I don't have two blues, but I might have something else. Let's see what happens here. That did absolutely nothing for me, much like I expected. Now, why would they let me take it apart this far? I hate to start swinging hammers at it, but we're not going to do that. This is either going to work or not at all. I think it moved it a little bit. It's also moving the whole thing across my table here because it doesn't weigh a lot. Well, it's definitely putting that in a bind, so I think we're moving something. Yeah, we're definitely increasing the distance between these two housings. I'm not in love with the progress, but we're still getting there. I think it's time for a new piece of wood. Hey! That's different. Now that spins free. Let's see if we can't continue. Oh, I spun that. I need to stop that. There we are. I think we might be able to just pull it out. You think that'll happen? Oh my goodness. Wow. See, is this magnetic? No, not at all. We just had to knock that. I think it's just this bearing right here. That was it. Oh, I think that's the seal. That's a seal. I don't know if it's the right one that goes bad. We're not done taking this apart, I don't think. There's still more to go. I think this comes apart even further. So here's what the inside with all the windings looks like. And there's the shaft. Now there is a seal right here, and it looks like it keeps the gear oil or the gearbox fluid away from the windings, away from this area. I wonder how long that one's supposed to last, or if that's the seal that has failed. Now I always heard it was coolant intrusion, and I don't see how that could keep coolant out of that. I don't. But if you notice, we've got 1, 2, 3 bolts here, and I don't know what that does. So let's zip them out. That may end up absolutely nowhere, but we're still going to find out. So, I don't think that's going to amount to anything, but that's not going to stop me from trying. There's not really a place to pry that's not going to destroy. Yeah, I really want to get that out. I wonder if there's anything to do on the other side. Well, this is all that's on the other side. It's just this. It spins forever. I don't see any bolts to take out. I don't see any way to get anything else out of this thing. I mean, I bet we could get the coils and windings out if we had a way to push on them. I bet we could pull that whole thing out of here. But I don't even see how to do that without just being a barbarian and smashing it to pieces, which I don't have the energy for that. We're still going to try some things though. Is that still moving? I don't know how that comes out. This is not amounting to much. Work out an OG over here. Use my old chisel driver. Yeah, it's not doing a thing of things. Nope, that's it's a negative. It didn't work. Here's one of the coolant pipes. I don't think that's going to help us at all. We may be at the end of the road, folks. Much like this car probably was when it got towed into the dealership. That's not going to help us at all. I don't see any more bolts. I don't think I'm missing anything. I am going to try something that's kind of dumb. Hold on. I'm going to use a brass drift because I have a little bit of access to the backside of this gear here. Is it moving? It sounds like it might be moving. It looks like it might be not. Hey, it moved. So we just had to tap that bearing out. Did that help us? No. We have no access pushing any of this out. That's it, guys. I think we're done. I'm sad about that. I really am. But I don't see any other way of getting the coils out. It'd be really cool if I could. I'm going to try some stuff, but it's probably not going to do anything. All right, we're not done yet. We might be done. As you can see, I've slightly damaged this. I don't know what kind of material this is, but it's soft. And I think this comes off. That's like, oh, it's stacked up steel. And we have another one of them clip doodads that's going to fight me, but that's not going to stop me. I had my tools put up and everything, but then I thought, maybe there's more. Did I really on the first try? I better shoot it away from myself. All right, so now I think this thing should be able to pop out of that. We're gonna just give it some taps. Oh, it's not moving. That just means I gotta use the bigger hammer. That's all that is. It's just the wrong tool. Now this thing is kind of a bother here, but I don't know how this is supposed to come out of this. Is there a, oh, there's a Torx? Hold on. Hold, please. What did that do? And we're just going to cut this little zip tie here. And then will this fit through here? So far, yes. And I am stuck. It is stuck. We are stuck. Come on. Get out. Now this might be enough out of the way so I can give it some taps. Let's try. I think it's moving. I also think I'm kind of messing up the end here. Oh no, we can't reinstall it. What will he ever do? We're moving. I don't know if I have the tooling to do this the right way though. I feel like I need to support this. I don't really support this. That's unhappy, isn't it? It was happier. We could try some nonsense like this. Yep, we're going to do that. All right, this might not work. We're going to try it anyway. I seem to have reached a stopping point. I feel like this would be a much better tool, much better use for a press, which is exactly why I'm going to find something to hammer on top of this. This is fine. Just don't look at it. That is not going to work. What are we to do? I feel like if we pry on it, it's going to be, we're just fighting that bearing. And that's really all we're fighting right now is that bearing. If I have my air hammer here, I could zzz it right out. Let's try this some more. I take this and I put it right here and I give it a good old thunk. I mean, it's gonna come apart. I don't know which part, but it's going to come apart. That moved it, by the way. Definitely a job for a press. That did it. And we're out. Now I think I can get this out and get all the components off. Perfect. Let's go over this thing. There's that. And here's the differential. It's pretty cool. Looks like it's got some like blue Teflon. I wonder what kind of material that is. No, I'm not taking the diff apart. Sorry guys, like, you gotta draw the line. But this all seems to be in really good shape. I don't see any wear here. Here's one of the outer housings. It's pretty decent. There's the other outer housing. That looks like an engine, either a position and or RPM sensor. This is the trigger wheel that I mutilated pulling off. It popped right off once I destroyed it. There's your inverter. Here's the main housing with all the windings. How do I get this apart without destroying it, even though it's all going to get scrapped? I mean, I know I could take a giant air chisel like those guys do that break these things open and get all the coils out, which I don't know if it's worth my time just for scrap, but I kind of want to pull it out in one piece just to, I don't know, put eyes on it, show you guys what that looks like, but it's not going to be in this video, but I'm open to suggestions for getting that apart. There's the center shaft and housing here. I mean, yeah, I could probably pull that shaft out of the housing, but I don't know what there is to see. There's all the hardware that held this thing together. And here's the shaft. Now, it did take some damage on its fall by removing it, and it's got some hammer marks on it, but that'll buff out, even though no one's going to do anything with this ever. And I think this might be the seal that everybody's talking about. I'm not sure. Like when you look up the actual seal that fails, there's not really anything on it. But virtually all of these components looked perfect. Of course, it's from a 1 to 2 year old vehicle, so did we expect any major catastrophic failure here? I didn't. This was incredibly easy. In fact, I feel like I haven't really done a teardown. I'm not tired, I'm not worn out. It's also not 2 in the morning, which is kind of nice actually. There's not a lot of parts to this, so of course it wasn't going to be that hard, and I only needed 4 different tools to get it apart: a T25, a T30, a 13mm, and an M10 triple square. That's, and some hammers and a piece of wood and a drift. We're not going to talk about that. Most people aren't going to be dismantling these that far. I don't think that there's a core charge on these. I don't think that there's anybody rebuilding these. Not yet anyway. It's still a really new vehicle, but it is kind of sad and also true with everything else that's gone on for the last 20 to 30 years as vehicles get more complicated, as vehicles become more disposable, that we're not fixing parts, we're just replacing them. We're not fixing cars, we're just replacing them. And all of this for a seal that hopefully is different than the one going in. I'm not positive that's the case, but it's under warranty. So as long as you own the car under warranty, I don't think you're going to have too much of a problem, as long as you're not in the middle of nowhere. We're just going to hope that doesn't happen for you guys that own these things. This was a ton of fun. I don't know that there's anything sellable out of this. This was a freebie. It's going to probably end up in the scrap bin unless one of you guys wants some of the parts from this. But if you'd like to buy any parts off of any of the engines I've torn down in the past, I'm going to leave our email in the video description. You can also go to importapart.com and peruse our inventory of used auto parts. I've been adding our parts cars in every single week. We've got some nice stuff coming in. As always, I love all the comments, all the feedback, and even the criticism. I love it all, and I'll catch you on the next one.